All right, Maddie, we're back with another after hour show as we await for Drake to be put into the grave with his money by another Kendrick diss track. We're going to talk about a little crypto here, team. We're going to talk about altcoins, Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy. We're going to talk about Ripple stablecoin coming soon. Very good there. We're going to talk about investor mindset as well as probably a rant from Maddie on the SEC. This is the after hours show. Maddie, how are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. I really enjoyed this weekend. I got to do a little local event here in town and enjoy some of this weather and my friend's company. But always excited to start the week again with some crypto talk and chat with you guys about some of these subjects here today.
Maddie, we've seen some good recovery in Bitcoin, now at $63,000. And, our alts, some alts like Casper are still moving a little bit lower as other alts are in an uptrend like HBAR. I want to know from you, Maddie, what are you doing right now? Are you looking to open up new positions in altcoins? Or are you looking to lower your cost basis? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, so over the last few months, I've opened a total of 4 new positions. So I'm not looking to add anything, new coin-wise to my portfolio. Again, some of these are swing trades, but nonetheless, they are part of my portfolio, and I still want to make sure that I'm able to manage these trades effectively and add to them effectively. So some things that are, back at the lows have re-entered a very lucrative DCA zone like Zcash and Casper. So DCA is on for those. Others like Helium, those are really going to be more limit-based ordering for me. Sushi's going to be more limit-based ordering for me. It's definitely on a case-by-case basis based on where we are structure-wise, but definitely right now we're still at a very nice accumulative phase for a lot of altcoins right now.
Team, before we get deeper into the show, I have to remind you, become a CryptoCharge member. Click the link in the pinned comment below and you'll be taken to our website, cryptocharge.com, where we are all about education. We're all about crypto education. Maddie has been doing a great job on the shows these last couple weeks, and even Dan has really been surprising me as of late with the attention to detail he's been going in with the Fed, with jobs and inflation, and even with Bitcoin, as Dan loves to talk about Bitcoin and go into some of that on-chain data. Some is an understatement. He goes into a lot of on-chain data to get a big macro perspective. And I think that's what we've been about for, I guess, since the spawn of CryptoCharge. We've looked at this multifaceted approach. We're not Bitcoiners. We're not meme coiners, but we take this big, vast approach at crypto. We look at the macro environment, we look at the globe, and we make decisions. And that is what the Crypto Charge motto is. So team, come over to Crypto Charge 30-day free using the code YouTube and hop into the Discord. I was dropping some good stuff in there this weekend for the team. I know the team's very active, so make sure you do that. But let's jump into some topics here. We're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin and some of the other things I mentioned here. And, I have looked around at other YouTubers, and a lot of them are taking some days off, team. I got to be honest, I was telling Matt before, some of these guys, they need to get a little bit more creative with how they present the data here, because there is always something out there to talk about. There's things upcoming that you should be aware of that we need to stay on top of so that we're ready, so that we're not reacting, but we are prepared, okay? So let's start with MicroStrategy here. I was talking with Dan the other day about MicroStrategy and just comparing it. Actually, I already know I have the chart up, This isn't, don't take this as me opening up TradingView. I was just looking at it this morning, but, since January of 2023, if you would have instead invested in MicroStrategy instead of investing in Bitcoin, you would have performed you would have outran Bitcoin by a mile. Since January 2023, MicroStrategy stock is up 877%, and Bitcoin is up 284%. Just want to throw that out there because that was interesting. But Maddie, the news here is MicroStrategy now holds 1% of all Bitcoins in existence. What is your thoughts on this?
I think that MicroStrategy within its name has a very specific approach to how they've come about their strategy. They actually didn't start buying any Bitcoin until 2020. So that's kind of when they started this really mass accumulation phase. There were many times during this accumulative phase, and what we saw with all of the huge narratives over this last cycle, whether it be issues with Russia and Ukraine, or it be the fall of FTX, Celsius, Voyager, and otherwise, things that really for most investors would not be able to stomach. When you have people investing in something like MicroStrategy or even Grayscale, because that's probably a good comparison here, is that sometimes these assets can trade at a premium and sometimes they can trade at a discount. And if you're able to buy them when they are trading at a discount, meaning that the share price of that particular stock is less than what the underlying assets are valued at, right? So whatever that total Bitcoin is valued at, or if it's an Ethereum trust, whatever the Ethereum is valued at, and you know that in the future that it might be trading at a premium, so you're able to get a much better return than you'd be able to get just on Bitcoin alone. Now, what you are kind of banking on here is that there's going to be a shift in investor sentiment specifically on those stocks, which does have its own set of risks. But again, with those risks comes great rewards sometimes. So there were a lot of people who were able to DCA into both Grayscale or MicroStrategy into that bear market while they were trading at discounts. Relative to total value of assets held in the company, and they did really, really well. So, that's what we're seeing here is basically just an example of almost arbitrage, being very contrarian on both sides. As you start to see those shares come to a premium, I sure hope that they start to unload, because that premium does eventually evaporate and you'll kind of see a return to fair market value.
Let's talk about Ripple now. There's a big Ripple event this last week, and I saw a bunch of people there. Some that I like and some that I don't, but we'll get into that later. Ripple to launch a USD-backed stablecoin in June. So we've talked about this before, but now we're anticipating a June of this Ripple stablecoin. It was hinted by CTO David Schwartz at the XRP Las Vegas event this last week. I know Maddie wanted to go to that, but we have a busy life here at Crypto Charge. We have to do other things. We have to make content for you guys, so can't
Balance.
be with can't be with all the nerds, Maddie. But how important is this? Like, does this stablecoin need to happen sooner than later? Or is this like this needs to happen now? What are your thoughts on like this Ripple stablecoin coming to fruition here?
I wouldn't say that there is an immediate sense of urgency of building a native stablecoin. We've talked about the benefits in previous episodes of having native stablecoins on your chain, and it's really more about not having to bridge value from other chains onto that chain when you want to, move between the tokens that are native to that chain to build applications or deploy contracts or to mint NFTs or whatever you want to do on that network. And there's different costs associated with those things. Having that native stablecoin can help create a greater liquidity hub within that network. However, on the XRP ledger now, you can run other mediums of value over the network. So, there could be a faster integration of an existing stablecoin, for example, running USDC over the XRP ledger, and being able to emulate the same, liquidity hub and value of stablecoin transactions on the network. So, I would like to definitely see it sooner than later. I think that it's, again, something that when you look at cross-border payments is going to be very valuable. So you're going to have, kind of different sets of wallets. You're going to have the gas token, and you could have the stable token, which can really kind of accelerate people's experience or elevate people's experience when using the XRP ledger, even if they're not aware of it, right? We've talked about, your experiences when you're at the point of sale, whether you're using a Visa or MasterCard or American Express. 99.9% of people are completely unaware of the 20, 30, 40 different processes that are happening in the background so that you can have that, near instant finality at point of sale and walk away with your goods or services. So, if we can take that same approach that we have with point of sale and the ease of use with debits and credit cards here at point of sale, moving that into a cross-border payment solution, being able to have that flexibility there, that does allow for more applications and more participants to file in and potentially use this protocol. So I do think it's an important piece, but it's not an absolute crucial, urgent piece that is going to hinder the growth of the network.
Very nice insight on that, Maddie, and I'm very excited for this Ripple stablecoin, just for the benefits. I know a lot of people get hyped up because it's with Ripple and the token XRP, but it's like I want to see how this can impact me. Will this be offered on Coinbase and I can earn a good APY? Like those are the things that I'm thinking about as I continue to utilize my Coinbase card, as I know it's only offering like 0.5% cash back, which is lame right now, but we need to look for other options there, Maddie. But what I wanted to talk about, now that we talked about the Ripple stablecoin, I did see this interesting thing on Twitter that I'll elaborate more after I read this, but Josh Jacobson said this. It says, I'll start with this. I hold XRP and understand the significance of what Ripple has been building, yada, yada, yada. In saying that, the XRP Las Vegas thing was just held, and man, it's cringe, honestly. It's not even so much the event, but the maxi. Delusional attendees that have essentially ruined the community with insane price predictions repeatedly and ridiculous riddles. Just my 2 cents. And obviously, Maddie, you can tell that some of those verbiage there, like riddles, is something like you say a lot. And I was thinking about this a little bit, because like ever since I got into crypto, and maybe you felt this way too, or maybe not. Like I feel like there's this fine line between like becoming an ultra nerd. Being an investor is cool, but then like going to these events and stuff, it's like that kind of feels like crossing the line. What's your thoughts about this? Is it cool or is it nerdy to go to these events now?
So I think I looked into the logistics and the cost of it last year, and just wasn't enough value for me personally to get involved. Especially when you look at the XRP Ledger Summit, the Apex Summit, where this year it's in Amsterdam, but previously, I think it was 2 years ago, it was in Las Vegas. And I think they're going to continue to move it around. But I think the last 2 years it's been held in Amsterdam. So this is separate. So this is a community held XRP conference of sorts. So you're going to have a different caliber of individual there, right? You're not having presentations by developers. You're not having, all of this organized by the people who know this technology intimately. You're going to have kind of a blend of delusional investors. And then you're also going to have a good subset of people in there that are maximalist. And either which way, I'm not a fan. XRP, biggest holding, right? Been into XRP very long time. I am very much involved in XRP, but I'm also not the person who is closed-minded to other projects, other verticals, other problems in the world that need to be satiated. I'm not into the riddles. I'm not into the egregious overnight price predictions. A lot of those, predictions and statements that people bring up are one, based on their bag size. They'll say, this is what I want to make, and this is what it takes to be a quote unquote life-changing gain for me. And that's the price that XRP has to get to, and it has to get there in this cycle. So a lot of people will spread that. It makes other people feel good about their 1,000 XRP bag, 2,000 XRP bag. And I'm not shitting on your bag if you have a small bag, but you have to understand that there's a lot of people online that have very confident opinions that have very, very small holdings. And it unfortunately clouds their ability to make objective decisions. So I'm not anti-community. I'm not anti-people getting together and chatting up ideas and talking about the development, what the next, segment of this evolution of this project is. But that's not what's happening at most of these, at least community-held conferences. There's just, a lot of goofiness there. I mean, it's okay. It's all right for everyone to be themselves and to, have your own opinions. But, I think that most of you guys would get more out of a project hosted event like this, or the XRP Ledger Summit through Apex, or some of these other larger conferences that have a lot of keynote speakers that are very intelligent, know what they're talking about. So you kind of have a little bit of balance there. You're still going to have attendees that you can't control how they are thinking or talking, but you're going to at least have a better sense of information being presented at the larger presentations.
Maddie, you bring up an interesting point there, like the smaller holders actually like being the loudest. And I kind of hold that to be true because when I think about it, like when I met Brian Decker, he's one of the biggest XRP holders, and he was the most quiet about his XRP holding. When do you ever go on social and hear Brian talk about XRP? Very rarely. Dan Habib's another one. Dan Habib is one of the biggest Bitcoin holders I know. He makes a Bitcoin video once a month. So it's like these people that, are some of the biggest holders are like so quiet about their holdings. And it's just like something to keep in mind here. Some of the loudest. And you guys might think, oh, you're being hypocritical. You guys are the loudest about Casper and about XRP. Well, man, dude, a lot of my net worth is in XRP and Casper. And that's just the facts. And I have receipts if you want to come check. But what I want to get into now, Maddie, is the back half of this show is probably going to be you ranting, and I love your rants. But you're probably going to be ranting about the SEC, and because we're not fans here, we are not fans of these people that that hinder America in the growth of crypto development in America. It hurts me so much every day on the Crypto Charge live show when, Maddie, you bring up all these news about all these other countries that are developing and, wanting to integrate blockchain. And then we have the SEC in America that is really just hindering us. So let's get into what's going on here. And this is not directly related to crypto, but we'll get to it in a second. SEC to file lawsuit against Robinhood's crypto business. SEC is planning to file a lawsuit against Robinhood's crypto business as indicated by the issuance of a Wells notice to the company on May 4th, 2024. So just a couple days ago, Robinhood had previously received investigative subpoenas from the SEC regarding digital asset listings, custody, and operations, and had claimed compliance with these investigations. However, the Wells notice suggests impending enforcement action. the SEC alleges that Robinhood is offering customers digital assets classified as unregistered securities, potentially violating the Securities Act of 1934. This development adds Robinhood to the list of many crypto platforms facing legal actions from this agency. Maddie, just go right ahead, man. Go right ahead.
So it's nothing new, the allegations or the enforcement actions that are being launched against Robinhood. Sadly, they're not being hit with the charges that I personally think Robinhood was acting in a poor fiduciary responsibility for. That being, first of all, not allowing customers to withdraw their assets, so forcing them to have buy and sell side, volume on their exchange, especially knowing the nature of digital assets. When you have all of these coins, especially like largely, integrated coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, it isn't like this secret set of, rules on how to accept and deposits and withdrawals. Those are very clear and easy things to integrate, and they chose not to integrate those things. So one, I think that was a very wrong thing that Robinhood did. They also did a lot of halt trading on assets that were very volatile. Volatility does not give you the excuse to halt trading. Market is the market. Supply and demand is supply and demand. Market participants decide what the price of an asset is, even if you don't believe that that's a fair price. I don't think that the Dow Jones should be able to close just because we've had a maximum daily drawdown. Boo-hoo, send it to zero if the market believes it's zero, we're zero, right? So those two things are really what my bigger issues were with Robinhood, not to mention that all the fees and, everything else, market spread. And you have a lot of new people on that app who know nothing about investing or trading. So they're completely blind to that. They only know the contract price. They're paying these enormous spreads. And also Robinhood just decides, hey, you guys made too much money. We're not allowing this to happen anymore. Being accused, though, specifically of selling unregistered securities, this is going to become a very tired narrative very quickly here, especially as we start to get more W's across the board in some of these bigger cases. I believe that the SEC feels like they're running out of time right now because they're losing in this XRP case, in the SEC v. Ripple case. They are losing badly in this Coinbase case right now. They are getting really stuffed by the judge on a lot of very important issues. And if you're able to get some sort of acknowledgement in writing in some of these court decisions prior to them getting all the way through a lawsuit with Robinhood and anyone else is going to have a lot less work to do because they're going to have more to lean on. Hey, the ruling in the case, SEC v. Ripple Labs, this is what we know about digital assets. So they all do not automatically constitute a security. So you need to be specific about what instances we sold, which assets as unregistered securities and how there are post-sale obligations associated with that. It's going to be easier for us to lean back on rulings than it is right now where we're still in the middle of that. So I believe that the SEC right now is trying to do a blanket approach to try to just grab as much money as they possibly can, because once you have some of that rulemaking in place, well, they have to follow the rules, right? It's very easy within a court to say, hey, here's what's been established previously. Here's the precedent. Can't deviate from this. So I think that right now, Gary's just trying to get his last Christmas pennies in his pocket and steal whatever he can from the American consumer, and it's disgusting. And hopefully one day we see politicians have to pay for their crimes, but most likely not.
Right. Maddie, that was actually an interesting take. I didn't know you were gonna give that take. It actually very on par with what you said in the past. I remember all these people that come to crypto, they always say, oh, I can buy my Robinhood account. And it was always don't do that. Buy on Wednesday exchanges, pull into your cold storage device. So that's actually an interesting take here. I wanted to read this by Ryan here. He says, the SEC is now suing Kraken, Coinbase, Uniswap, MetaMask, and now Robinhood for the crime of helping regular Americans access crypto. This level of regulatory overreach has destroyed the legitimacy of the SEC and may lose, the Democrats, the election. Maddie, what are your thoughts on this? Obviously, okay, now we're pulling red versus blue, and now we heard your take on before, okay, it looks like Robinhood is actually in the wrong here. So how true is Ryan's statement here?
I think that he's on the money with gauging consumer sentiment leading into an election year. It's very important that you don't rock the boat on certain issues that Americans are passionate about. Now, do I think enough Americans are passionate enough about what's happening with crypto right now to shift the way that they vote in November? Probably not. Probably not a big enough swing. I think there's other things that have happened over the last couple of years that both sides are quite unhappy about and have infringed on freedoms. And I think that there's a lot of things that we don't like that's happening right now. For example, we have the TikTok ban that I think that most people agree is pretty unconstitutional. I think that some of those talking pieces are probably going to be the bigger issues that people would be voting differently on versus crypto specifically. Now, again, everybody as an example here. First of all, Kraken has been operating in the United States for over a decade. And this is the first time the SEC has ever said anything to Kraken about this. Absolute nonsense. Coinbase has been around a very long time. Yes, they've had their downfalls. They have lots of things I get frustrated with, but they have continued to build one of the best and largest exchanges here in the United States. Of course, you're going to sue Uniswap and MetaMask. You can't control that. You can't tax that. You can't decide who's on both sides of the transaction. And Robinhood, I guess we can say that, they've made the access easier because one of the big values for people on Robinhood, first of all, you can buy fractional shares of crypto anywhere. That's always been a native part of crypto. But what wasn't always possible was buying fractional shares of stocks. And that's what really changed it for a lot of people. So, let's say I only have $10 to invest and I want to buy a stock that's worth $200. I was able to buy a fraction of that stock with my $10, which I think should have been a thing, right? Why not be able to own fractional shares or whatever? So, when you look at the blanket cause of the SEC attacking all of these entities, 9 out of 10 of these entities probably haven't done anything that's egregiously hurt investors. All it's hurt is the government's ability to peer in and have our privacy violated in relations to however we're transacting with digital assets. There would never be an SEC action against, hey, you illegally went and traded 15 gold bars for cash and you didn't tell us about that. I don't have a responsibility to, right? So we look at these commodities the same exact way, and the SEC wants to try to close that gap as quickly as possible and pull it out of their clutches. So different reasons, different angles. We can argue about this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, it's us versus the SEC.
That's interesting, Maddie. A lot of these people are single issue voters, so I doubt they're gonna really be sold on like the SEC attacking all these, exchanges, decentralized exchanges, or what have you, or even like, Robinhood itself. They're going to be more pissed off about TikTok,
Right.
because that's like where we consume media and we're able to. And Maddie, you've seen this. I was talking to someone this the other day because they have been tricked by, the powers that be, that TikTok is this very bad thing. I got to be honest here. TikTok is where we made our start.
Right.
TikTok is merit-based, and it gives people that put out good content the ability to be shown to others. That's why Crypto Charge TikTok has performed so well. Now
Right.
on Instagram, they didn't like the crypto content. They didn't like all of that. They didn't like that on any meta platforms like
Right.
Facebook or Instagram. But on TikTok, we're good. On Twitter, we're great. On YouTube, looks like we're getting by just fine, Maddie. So it's very interesting how people can dice it up right now. So it's gonna be an interesting year, Maddie. Anything to wrap up here? We're out of time.
Guys, I know that right now the market seems a little bit boring, but honestly, it's the best time for you to re-strategize. It's a great time for you to take a look at your watch list. Is it too big? Is it too small? Taking a look at some of those assets, seeing if you're a little bit too light or too heavy in something. Consider maybe doing a little bit of rebalancing if you feel like some of those things are not where you want them to be. When you're in these next series of impulses, those are kind of the times when you want to relax or maybe even consider doing a little bit of profit taking, just depending on where we are structurally. But really use this opportunity. I know that a lot of people, they look at these lulls and they get so frustrated, but then you look back in history and you go, damn, I just wish I had bought this between this price and this price. Now's that time, right? To be buying ranges, not to be speculating on, hey, if I catch it by this much more, I'll get this much more of this coin, and I'm not buying anything until we get to that price. In some instances, of course, we want to make sure that we're getting a good value buy, but especially for certain assets that are in a DCA zone, don't squander that opportunity, because once you're out of that DCA zone, I see it every single time. I see the panic that ensues. I see the FOMO that ensues. I see your guys' decision making watered down by your emotions, and it's horrible every single time. I've seen people leap from one asset to another, jump into Solana that's pumping, get dunked on sold by Solana minus 30%, jumping into the next meme coin. By the time all these fees and jumping around, you've made so many decisions that were emotion oriented. Use this opportunity where we have a lull, where we have sideways action, to re-strategize and make a decision. If you are chasing big green candles, you will never ever be a good long-term investor. Yeah, you might make some good windfall profits, but just like when you go to Vegas, you hit it big a couple times, good chance, because of that cockiness and that confidence, you will give it back one chip at a time. So don't do that. You maybe have some bags that you have as kind of some shorter term, maybe some higher risk plays, but really use this opportunity to look around and say, if this was to be the next market bottom developing right now, the next high or low, where do I want to deploy my dollars looking 18 to 24 months into the future? That's probably the best gift you can give yourself right now. Of course, guys, you don't have to do this alone. CryptoCharge.com, 30 days free with code YouTube. That is what the monthly or the annual gets you access to the Discord, our live shows every week, the coin library, trade ideas, all that good stuff. So hope you guys come check us out.
Words of wisdom, Maddie. All right, team, we're done today. Thank you for joining us. We covered a lot of good things today. So if you got something good, Make sure you like the video before you leave on your way out the door today. Have a great day. But until Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, the Ask Maddie Show. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Only your best ones. I'm only pulling up the best. All right, Maddie, we're done for today. Later, team. Bye.